what if I told you that aging is a lie? That every wrinkle, every gray hair, every ounce of energy you've lost isn't natural. It's a program, software installed within you to make you believe your time is limited. But today I'm going to give you the 4 keys to a forbidden method, supposedly created by Thoth, the Egyptian god of wisdom, to uninstall this program. The first key, which I'll reveal in a moment, is an invisible poison you consume every day without realizing it. This video isn't for everyone. 99% of people aren't ready to hear this, but if you stick around until the end, you'll never look in the mirror the same way again. If you believe that your body was made to regenerate, comment, "Time obeys me." The body is the glove of the soul. Why shouldn't it last forever? This quest for endless life didn't begin with modern technology. Long before, in forgotten corners of the world, refusing to grow old was a secret practice. In the mountains of China, the legend of Li Qingyuan echoes this truth. They say he lived to be over 200 years old, not through a genetic miracle, but through a daily discipline of practices that seemed absurd to the Western world. He spoke of sleeping in the light of the heart and breathing in a way that synchronized his body with the rhythms of nature. What sounded like poetry was, in fact, profound science. Today, neuroscience confirms that certain meditative states activate repair genes and protect DNA from wear and tear. Meanwhile, in 18th century Europe, the search took a different, more visceral form. In damp basements, far from the eyes of academia, renegade scientists and alchemists conducted experiments that challenged the boundaries between life and death. When Luigi Galvani made a dead frog's muscles contract with an electrical impulse, official science saw it as a circus curiosity. But occultists saw a key. If electricity, this invisible force, could animate the dead, what could it do for a living body beginning to fail? The question was too dangerous. Unofficial accounts, whispered within secret societies, speak of experiments that went far beyond frogs. The bodies of prisoners and homeless people were allegedly used to test the limits of bioelectricity. Witnesses swore they saw lifeless eyes open for a brief moment, sagging skin tighten as if the body were struggling to reject its own death. It was proof that life was not merely a chemical process, but an electrical phenomenon. A truth so powerful that, if revealed, it could change the course of human history. Therefore, the archives were sealed and the experiments banned. These stories, from the Taoist master to the European alchemist, are not fairy tales. They are pieces of a giant puzzle, fragments of lost knowledge that point to a single, shocking conclusion. Your body is not just a mass of flesh, bones, and blood. It is a pulsating energy field, a biological antenna responding to forces you've been taught to ignore. You've been trained to believe only what you can see and touch, but the most powerful forces governing your biology are completely invisible. And the most influential of them doesn't come from outside. Aging, illness, loss of vitality, these are all symptoms. The real problem is a dissonance, a noise in this energy field that is you. The ancients knew this. They didn't have the word bioelectricity, so they called it chi, prana, life force. These were different names for the same divine spark that animates matter. They understood that to keep the body young and healthy, it was necessary to keep this flame burning and pure. The knowledge of how to do this was intentionally suppressed because it gives you back the power over your own life. and the most powerful and constant source of interference in your energy field, the most destructive force accelerating your aging with every passing second, is not a virus or an external toxin. It's a poison you voluntarily produce every day without even realizing it. A poison so subtle and so present that you've learned to call it normal life. And this poison is acting within you right now, dictating the rate at which your cells deteriorate. The poison you drink every day. Genetics is the perfect excuse. Saying that your wrinkles and lack of energy are written in your DNA is a way of surrendering power and accepting defeat. But the truth is, your genetic code is like a huge piano with thousands of keys. And the one who decides which melody will be played is not the piano, but the pianist. And the pianist, in this case, is your emotional vibration. The most potent poison that accelerates your aging isn't sugar or fat, it's fear, stress, and resentment. These aren't just sensations, they're biochemical frequencies flooding your body. Imagine each of your cells as a tiny soldier waiting for orders. Fear screams danger, contract, prepare for the worst. Chronic stress whispers, there's no respite, the threat is constant. Anger sends a shockwave that inflames everything in its path. Modern science, with its complex language, calls this psychoneuroimmunology and confirms that negative emotional states shorten telomeres, the protective tips of your chromosomes, with the same efficiency as a physical poison. Every time you indulge in a low-frequency emotion, you're literally ordering your body to age faster. The ancients didn't need laboratories to understand this. They saw the body as an orchestra. When you live in a state of gratitude, love, or peace, each organ plays its part in perfect harmony, creating a symphony of health and vitality. But when fear and resentment take over, the orchestra goes out of tune. The heart races out of rhythm, digestion stalls, and the immune system becomes confused. This chaotic noise, sustained for days, months, and years, is what we call chronic disease and premature aging. You don't need stress-fighting sunscreen, you need a new way to conduct your internal orchestra. What if I told you that you could shift this frequency in less than 3 minutes? That you don't need years of therapy or expensive spiritual retreats to silence the noise and restore harmony? The most powerful tool for this emotional alchemy is with you from the first second of life, but you use it on autopilot. It's your breath. It's the direct bridge between your conscious mind and your autonomic nervous system. By changing the rhythm and depth of your breathing, you send an immediate command to your entire body. The danger has passed, it's safe to relax and repair. Specific breathing techniques, such as slow, deep diaphragmatic breathing, activate the vagus nerve, the conductor of your parasympathetic nervous system, responsible for the rest and digestion processes. This activation reduces inflammation, lowers blood pressure, and signals to your cells that it's time to initiate regeneration protocols. You don't need a prescription for youth. You need to remember how to breathe as if your life depended on it. Because in fact, the quality of your life and your longevity directly depend on the quality of your breathing. Once you learn to master your internal vibration to cleanse the emotional poison that ages you from within, you take the first step toward becoming the master of your own biology. You stop being a leaf in the wind, passively reacting to emotional storms, and become the tree itself with deep roots, capable of standing firm. But controlling your internal energy is only half the equation. The next step is learning to connect with and feed on the most powerful and abundant external energy source there is, a source you've been taught to fear. Your body wasn't designed to live on bread and water, it was designed to feed on light. Think about it. Your skin is a vast biological solar panel, capable of converting photons into vitamin D, a molecule that regulates thousands of functions in your body. Your eyes aren't just windows to the world, they're light receptors that tell your brain what time it is, adjusting your entire internal biological clock. You are, in essence, a photosynthetic being that has been convinced that it's merely a consumer of organic matter. And this disconnect is one of the fundamental causes of your aging. Modern society has taught us to fear the sun. We've been told it causes wrinkles, dark spots, and cancer, and that we should hide from it or cover ourselves with layers of sunscreen. And, of course, reckless and excessive exposure can be harmful. But the ancients didn't see the sun as an enemy. They saw it as a deity, a source of life and power. They knew that morning sunlight has a different quality than midday light. The first rays carry specific frequencies of red and infrared light that penetrate deep into the skin, energizing the mitochondria, the powerhouses of your cells. 10 minutes of exposure to the morning sun without sunglasses or sunscreen is like giving every cell in your body a cosmic espresso. This simple practice activates genes linked to cellular repair, regulates your sleep cycle, and triggers the production of serotonin, the feel-good neurotransmitter. It's a free and powerful therapy that has been replaced by pills and creams. You've been taught to start your day with the artificial light of a smartphone screen, when the most powerful energy source is available, shining brightly outside, waiting to recharge you. But light cannot do its regenerative work without its essential partner, darkness. The invention of electric light was one of the greatest blows to human longevity. You were designed to spend a third of your life in near absolute darkness. It is in this state that your pineal gland, a small gland in the center of your brain, becomes a factory for the most potent anti-aging hormone known melatonin. It not only induces sleep, it is a powerful antioxidant, a DNA repairer, and an immune system regulator. Sleeping in a room contaminated by the blue light of screens, the flickering of LED lights, or the light streaming through a window is like trying to perform delicate surgery in the middle of an earthquake. Melatonin production is drastically inhibited, and your body loses the chance to perform its nighttime cleansing and repair process. The ancients honored darkness. For them, night was not a time of inactivity, but a sacred period of recharge and renewal. They slept when the sun set and woke when it rose, living in sync with the pulse of the planet. You're learning to manage your inner vibration and properly nourish yourself with light and darkness. Your body is beginning to realign with its natural rhythms. But what good is a well-tuned engine and the best fuel if the driver believes they're in a race against time, with their foot on the accelerator all the time? What good is all this if time itself remains your enemy, stealing your youth with every tick of the clock? Or is the clock lying to you? The time machine inside your brain. What if I told you that time doesn't exist the way you perceive it? The ticking of the clock, the days on the calendar, the years you count on birthdays, these are all human constructs, a social agreement to organize life. But your biology doesn't operate based on this artificial time. Your body doesn't have a wristwatch. It has an experience meter. It doesn't count seconds, minutes, and hours. It registers intensity, novelty, and emotion. And herein lies the secret to bending time to your advantage. Consider how your perception of time changes. An entire year of monotonous routine, doing the same things, can pass in the blink of an eye, leaving only a feeling of emptiness. Conversely, a single week of travel, full of new landscapes, new flavors, and new experiences, can seem like an eternity in your memory. The paradox is brutal and simple. When your subjective perception of time accelerates, your body ages faster. When you can slow this perception, your biology enters a state of repair and rejuvenation. Tibetan monks, in their deep meditations, claim that time stops. And this isn't a poetic metaphor. Neuroscience studies show that, in these states of altered consciousness, cellular metabolism actually slows down, oxygen consumption decreases, and DNA repair processes are activated. The body enters a kind of conscious hibernation, a state of deep regeneration. They're not stopping the clock on the wall. They're stopping the clock within their own cells, simply by changing their internal state. You've experienced this. Remember the last time you were completely absorbed in something you love. Painting, dancing, playing an instrument, talking to someone special. The hours passed like minutes. This is the flow state. In it, the part of the brain responsible for self-criticism and the notion of time calms down. Stress disappears. Your biology interprets this as a sign of safety and goes into repair mode. Flow is, literally, an internal time machine you can access. Children live in flow, which is why they seem to have inexhaustible energy and heal so quickly. Adults, on the other hand, live trapped in routine and worry, feeling life slipping through their fingers. But you can hack this perception. Simple practices like fractal breathing, where you inhale, hold, and exhale to the count of 7, can alter your brainwaves and expand your sense of the present moment. 1 minute can feel like 10. By doing this, you're not just relaxing, you're actively manipulating your biological time, giving your body more time to regenerate within the same chronological minute. Now you understand how to control your vibration, how to feed on light, and how to become the master of your own time. The pieces of the puzzle are falling into place. You have the keys to tuning your engine, using the right fuel, and driving at your own pace. But one crucial piece is missing. What good is all this if the battery that starts the engine is weak, almost dead? Everything needs to be connected to the primary energy source, the force that animates all life in the universe. You've been taught to think of your body in terms of chemistry, proteins, carbohydrates, vitamins. But this is an incomplete, almost primitive view. The truth is that at a fundamental level, your life isn't chemical, it's electrical. Each of your trillions of cells functions like a micro-battery with a specific voltage. Your heart doesn't beat by magic, it beats because of a precise electrical impulse that commands it. Your brain, when processing thoughts, generates an electromagnetic field so real it can be measured from several meters away. Life is electricity. Death, therefore, at its most basic, is not the failure of an organ. It's a blackout. It's when the voltage in your cells drops below a critical level and the spark of life is extinguished. Ancient sages from different cultures knew this. They didn't use the term bioelectricity, but spoke of a vital force, a subtle energy that permeates everything. They called it qi in China, prana in India, ruach in the Hebrew tradition. They were simply different names for the same truth. The human being is a traveling electric field, and health depends on the free flow of this energy. The secret that has been systematically buried is that this internal battery doesn't need to run out. It can and should be constantly recharged. But how? We live in a sea of technology, surrounded by cables, Wi-Fi, and radio waves. Yet we are ironically disconnected from the cleanest, most powerful, mass and free energy source in existence, planet Earth itself. The ground beneath your feet isn't just dirt and rock. It's an infinite reservoir of free electrons, with a naturally negative electrical charge. Walking barefoot on grass, beach sand, or damp earth isn't some hippie quirk. It's a fundamental biological act of recharging, known as grounding. Throughout the day, your body accumulates a positive charge due to stress and inflammation. By making direct contact with the earth, you allow a flow of negative electrons into your body, neutralizing this positive charge and acting as the most potent antioxidant there is. This reduces inflammation, improves sleep, and accelerates cell regeneration. It's a tragic irony. We obsessively worry about our cell phone batteries, searching for a power outlet as soon as they drop. But we completely ignore our own body's battery, living isolated from our natural charger by rubber soles and concrete floors. You're like a cutting-edge electronic device constantly running in power-saving mode, never plugged in. We care more about an iPhone's lifespan than we do about our own. Now you have the 4 keys in your hands: the vibration to conduct your inner orchestra, the light to fuel your cells, the time to command your biology, and the electricity to recharge your vital battery. You have the knowledge. But knowledge by itself is inert. It doesn't transform. Application is what generates power. And applying these 4 keys isn't a simple habit change. It begins with a profound ritual, a symbolic act of death and rebirth for your former self. The method of Thoth. Initiation in the halls of Amenti. We've reached the heart of the mystery. The 4 pillars you've discovered aren't isolated health tips to be applied haphazardly. They are the columns supporting an invisible temple, and the forbidden method of Thoth is the ritual that takes place within this temple. It's the conscious unification of these 4 forces in a daily practice of transformation. Legend has it that Thoth stored this knowledge in the halls of Amenti, a realm that doesn't exist on the map, but in a dimension of consciousness, a cosmic womb where the soul is stripped of its lies to face its truth. Entering the halls of Amenti is not a physical journey, but a journey into yourself. It is the act of dying to your former self, to the person you believed yourself to be, with all its limitations, fears, and beliefs about aging. The initiation is this: you don't just breathe to relax, you use your breath to transmute negative emotions into vital energy. You don't just sunbathe to get vitamin D, you open yourself to receive light as information and nourishment for your soul. You don't just manage your time, you enter flow states to transcend the tyranny of the clock. You don't just walk barefoot, you ground yourself to anchor your spirit in your body. The central secret, Thoth's true message, is that immortality is not about preserving the body at any cost. Like a wax museum, the vanity of wanting to appear forever young is the trap that imprisons most. True eternal youth is the natural result of the flowering of consciousness. It is when you become so vibrant, so full of life, that your physical body has no choice but to reflect this internal state. continually regenerating itself not through effort but through consequence. The goal was never to live forever in a physical shell. The goal is to awaken to the truth that you are not the body. You are the life force that animates it, the eternal consciousness having a temporary experience. When this understanding becomes your lived reality, the fear of death disappears. And when the fear of death disappears, the aging process, which is driven by that fear, loses its power. Eternal youth is not the absence of death, but the overflowing, unshakable presence of life. This is where many fail. They seek the power of youth out of ego, to feel superior, to deny their mortality. But the universe does not hand over its most precious keys to those whose hands are soiled by vanity. Initiation requires complete surrender, the death of ego, the willingness to become a channel for life rather than trying to imprison it for yourself. It is a silent choice you make every moment, with every breath. The choice between identifying with form or with the force that gives life to form. And this vibrant presence, this profound connection with life, demands a fundamental decision. A choice that defines whether you will use this power to free yourself or to create a new prison for yourself. True immortality is not a destiny, it is a consequence. The consequence of living so fully and consciously that time bends before you. And this practice does not take place in a distant temple, but on the stage of your everyday life, transforming every mundane act into a ritual of power. The great initiation doesn't occur in a secret ceremony beneath a pyramid. It happens in your kitchen when you choose living food over processed food. It happens in your bedroom when you decide to turn off the screen and immerse yourself in the regenerative darkness. It happens on your way to work when you choose to breathe consciously instead of drowning in anxious thoughts. True alchemy, the transformation of lead into gold, is the art of transforming the ordinary into the extraordinary, the mundane into the sacred. Your daily life becomes your laboratory. The Hermetic principle, as within, so without, is not a fancy philosophical phrase. It is a functional law of the universe. The chaos or harmony of your inner world will inevitably manifest in your health, your relationships, and your material reality. When you begin cultivating a garden of peace, vitality, and gratitude within yourself, using the 4 keys as your gardening tools, you will inevitably begin to see this garden flourish around you. Your skin becomes a reflection of your inner light. Your energy becomes contagious. The people around you begin to react to you differently. Not because you've changed your appearance, but because you've changed your frequency. You stop fighting the current of life and learn to dance with it. You look at the morning sun and see not just a ball of gas, but a reflection of your own beating heart. You feel the rain on your skin and know that the same water that nourishes the earth is purifying your body and soul. The separation between you and nature begins to dissolve. This phase of the journey is about embodiment. It's about taking knowledge from the mind and weaving it into the fiber of your being. It's no longer about doing the exercises, it's about being the person who lives in a state of continuous regeneration. Breathing becomes a silent prayer, food becomes a sacrament, sleep becomes a deep meditation, movement becomes a celebration of life. You stop treating your body as an object to be fixed and begin to honor it as the sacred temple of your consciousness. But such great power, the ability to influence the very fabric of your biological reality, does not come without a counterbalance. The same energy that can build can destroy. The same force that can liberate can imprison. The universe is perfectly balanced, and as you access this level of personal power, you inevitably encounter your greatest challenge, the shadow that accompanies this light. A danger so subtle that many who have reached this point have fallen prey to it without realizing it. This power requires a maturity most people lack. It reveals not only its light, but also its darkness. And that's why this knowledge was considered forbidden. Not because it doesn't work, but because it works too well. And humanity, for the most part, isn't yet ready to deal with the consequences of having so much power in its hands. The danger lies not in the knowledge itself, but in the ego of those who possess it. The price of power. Why would such revolutionary knowledge, capable of freeing humanity from the tyranny of aging and disease, be actively suppressed, distorted, and labeled heresy throughout history? The answer is frighteningly simple, because it is dangerous. Not to the body, but to the ego. The power to manipulate one's life force and perception of time is a double-edged sword. In balanced hands and with a pure heart, it can lead to a life of service and enlightenment. But in selfish and immature hands, it transforms into a destructive obsession. History and mythology are replete with cautionary tales. Kings who sought the elixir of eternal life became monstrous tyrants. Alchemists who, in their blind quest for physical immortality, were consumed by their own anxiety about aging, becoming slaves to the very death they desperately sought to outwit. The pursuit of youth for the sake of vanity is the most seductive trap. It focuses on preserving the mask, the outer shell, while the soul rots within, starving for real purpose. Knowledge wasn't forbidden because it was false. It was forbidden because it was too true for a humanity that hasn't yet learned to master its own impulses of greed, fear, and desire for control. The true purpose of extended longevity isn't to accumulate more years for oneself, to consume more, travel more, or accumulate more wealth. The purpose is to have more time to grow in wisdom, to deepen the capacity to love, and to contribute significantly to the elevation of collective consciousness. It's the fundamental difference between wanting to be a stone monument, eternal, cold, and isolated, and wanting to be a river that flows continuously, nourishing all life it touches, never clinging to its banks. The monument seeks to preserve its form at all costs. The river seeks to express life in its constant flow. As you walk this path, you will inevitably confront this choice with every decision you make. Will you use this power to feel special and superior, or to connect more deeply with everything and everyone? This is the price of forbidden knowledge. Absolute responsibility. There is no one to blame, no more excuses. You become solely responsible for your vibration, your energy, your reality. You are now at the crossroads all initiates reach. The decision point between using knowledge to serve life or being used by it to serve the ego. Between mastery and obsession. The choice has always been yours from the beginning. And it doesn't happen in the future. It happens now. With this power comes the responsibility to become a guardian, not an exploiter. You understand that your vitality is connected to the vitality of the planet and all beings. To harm another is to harm yourself. To pollute the planet is to pollute your own temple. Separation reveals itself as the ultimate illusion. And upon reaching this point of understanding, you are ready for the final step. Not a step of learning, but a step of command. The final act of sealing your commitment to your new reality. Imagine for a moment a 70-year-old woman. Her shoulders are hunched by the weight of time, her gaze dulled by the resignation of a life she believes is over. One day, by a stroke of fate, she finds these 4 keys. With a lifetime of skepticism, but with a spark of hope, she begins to practice. She breathes deeply when anxiety hits. She welcomes the morning sun as a daily blessing. She transforms her bedroom into a sanctuary of darkness. She walks barefoot in the dirt of her garden. A year passes. Someone who knew her runs into her on the street, but hesitates to recognize her. The woman now walks upright, with light, firm steps. Her skin isn't artificially stretched, but glows with the light that comes from within. Her eyes, once dull, now sparkle with the flame of a rediscovered life. She doesn't look like a younger version of herself. She is young. And when they ask her, incredulously, what her secret is, what cream, what surgery, she doesn't mention any of it. She simply smiles and whispers the forbidden phrase, "I stopped obeying time. Now it obeys me." This journey we've taken together, from discovering the secret sentence to understanding the 4 pillars, wasn't about learning new tricks. It was about unlearning the lies you've been told. It was about peeling back layers of conditioning so your innate truth could shine. Thoth's ultimate message, the secret of immortality, is the realization that you are eternal life itself, the consciousness of the universe, experiencing itself through a temporary and wondrous form. The body is not a prison. It is a vehicle for this experience. The 4 pillars are not a rigid routine to be followed like a robot. They are the principles of a dance. The dance of conscious living. The theory ends here. Your practice, your dance, begins now, and every great transformation begins with an act of power, a declaration of intention. Let this moment be your ritual, not tomorrow, not later. Now, engrave in your mind, in your heart, and in every cell of your body the decree that seals your new commitment to life. Close your eyes for a moment, take a deep breath, and declare silently or aloud, with all the conviction in your being, "From this day forward, time rejuvenates me." Let this not be just a pretty phrase or a passing thought. If you've made it this far, it's because you're not part of the 99%. You felt the call. To seal this journey, leave in the comments the phrase that is now your new truth. I am the master of my time. Your presence until the end is already a huge help in helping this message reach more people. If you feel like supporting the channel more directly, there's a link in the first pinned comment to contribute and help us spread more content like this. Any help is very important to me and to the growth of the channel. And if you can't, just sharing this video with someone who needs to hear it makes a huge difference. But don't leave yet, your journey isn't over. I've put together a special video to delve deeper into what we've discussed here and give you the next practical step. Click on the video now and we'll meet there.